Okay, first I just want to thank everybody for the amazing time that I've had here. I've been out to dinner with people, I've had a chance to sit down and have some fun, crazy project conversations with people. I've listened to, what's that work out to, 18 presentations from all the great work you've done. I have to say that there are at least 6 of them I have now stolen. There are 2 projects that are already running at the University of Prince Edward Island that are directly stolen from the fine work you guys are doing here. That to say, like I said yesterday, I heard a couple of people say, oh, you know, in the United States this is being done like this. I can tell you right now that you guys are doing as I've been. I go all over talking to people and listen to the work they do. The work here is as good or better than anywhere else that I've been. So certainly want to say that at the outset. I'll also say, for those of you who said, hi, Oscar and Posey, yesterday morning, they were very, very pleased to receive that. So thank you very much for participating in that process as well. Those are my kids. Really? Yeah, I know. Okay, so I have 3 things that I thought I'd touch on. There's a lot of stuff that came out of this, and I've been wrestling in my head what things I might be able to talk about that might be helpful, that might provide sort of a different perspective, or at least my own perspective on what's going on. The first one is about the difference between complicated and complex challenges. So when I was listening to the research rubric this morning, I look at that and I'm thinking, wow, that is such a great way of introducing the customs of higher education, the customs of research to people. When the students come to the university, I always think of there being 2 jobs that we have. The first one, and maybe it's a dirty word, but we need to indoctrinate them into the customs that we have as a culture of learning. So we have these ideas about research that are really important to us, the way that we impose rigor and that we try to make sure that things we do are well done. We have all these things that we do. We have these rituals that we perform, and those are a really important part of the higher educational experience. And I thought that the breakdown that I saw today, the 6-step process, is a really good way of showing those customs to those students, because in a lot of cases, certainly like me, whenever I started university, I had no idea what they were. I had no connection to them. And it's a really nice way of making those things manifest. The only problem is that that's not the final step in the process. That's the introductory step in the process. And we look at the map, the chart that I showed up yesterday, when you look at the Cynefin framework, and I use this for decision making both in my classrooms and also as an administrator at the university, there are things that fall into this simple category that respond to best practice, where you have something you need to teach somebody, and it's not a negotiable concept. You know, multiplication table is not a negotiable concept. There are multiplication tables. You need to memorize them. It's a really important thing to do. Best practice is to memorize them. Let's not even talk about that anymore. Just memorize them. Right? And those are important parts of the process. The research method, for lack of a better word, is a complicated process. We all know what it is. It exists. If you put enough experts in the room, as was described earlier, the research has been done for many, many years. If you put the experts in the room, we can all pretty much come up with what good practice is for research. The qualitative and the quantitative people might not agree, but we all kind of know what's going on. Creativity, okay, and that complicated process, sense, analyze, respond. So you look at the problem, you figure out, you get smart people together, they come up with a way of looking at it, and then you go ahead and do something about it. And that's very much what that research thing is from this morning. Where things start to get complex is where that clear answer doesn't exist. Where we talk about creativity, when we talk about students who can make their own decisions, when we talk about students who can change and have a positive impact on their world, not based on the things that we know now, but the things that they're going to learn from the world, that's a next step up in the process. Those things don't respond to professional rubrics in the same kind of way. It's not that you can't have one. It's that there are different things that you're looking for. When we talk about addressing complex situations, probe, sense, respond, there's never an analyze in this process because it's constantly shifting. Every student is different. The path to getting a student from I understand the research agenda to I'm doing really innovative research is going to be different for each one of those students. There's no rubber stamp to creativity, right? And I think that when we make transformative shifts, there's a constant tension between people who are looking to be as rigorous as possible and try to take the rigor of the former and apply it to the latter. And you can rigorize yourself entirely out of the creativity process. And I think it's something that I see people do all over the place, where they work really, really hard, they get all this stuff together, they make all these changes, and then they want to measure creativity at the end of the day. And they end up stamping it out of the process entirely. So I just thought I would put that in there at the outset. The second thing I want to talk about is something that I've seen a lot of conversation about, a lot of really great projects that people are doing here. And I see, these kinds of events are partially structured so that people can get together and go, oh, you're doing that too. You know, we saw like 4 of them today where somebody in the back corner went, oh God, that was the very thing that I was looking for. You know, and where the tutor stuff, with the tutor stuff that was going on, the very kind of thing that you're looking for. And those things keep happening in a lot of different locations. My first meeting here was with Don Gibson. You can tell that I did these slides while I was sitting down. I only had the things I had with me to work with. So I took out her business card and snapped a picture of it. So I remember her name while I was here. So I met with Dawn and the folks from tourism. The first meeting I was here in the morning, we sat down, and she started talking about the needs that she had based on the specifics of the Pacific Islands context. You know, the language challenges, the different variety, the huge variety of students coming in the door, and the ways in which their shop was looking to develop methods for dealing with that. And I had the same conversation with the dean of FALA, almost to the letter, in terms of what we were talking about. I don't know if I see him here. In terms of, we've got somebody in charge of the first year experience. We're going to be doing that kind of thing. Same kinds of challenges. And when I look at those things, I think, wow, if everybody has the same challenge, the absolute worst thing that can happen is that everybody tries to solve them. Now, I don't know if I would trust this guy as a centralized point for things, but whenever these particularly technology projects come up, it is vitally important that there is a central person in the organization who knows that all of them are happening. In my experience, nobody should start any broad technology project and not tell Teresa or not tell D-Raj, those kinds of people inside of an organization, whoever that person is here, whoever is appointed or, cursed with that responsibility. It is vitally important that that person is not necessarily making decisions about those things, but knows that they're all happening. You will save $1 kajillion, I promise you, that exact number, by doing it that way. But also, it so helps the collaborative process. And then whenever, times come around where you have to make decisions about it, you have people who can be in the room and go, oh, you know what? Those guys are doing this, those guys are doing that, and you could just do the same thing that those guys are doing and walk over, and now magically you're a year ahead of the process. And that is, in terms of being successful in the long haul, those people are critical to every technology project. I don't know, I see the director of IT here, but he'd be another one of those people that comes to mind as well. So just call them, send the stuff in, and then you'll find that almost immediately your life starts to get easier. I think about the Big Blue Button project, and I looked at that, and I looked over at D-Raj, and I said, what's going to happen when that gets 2,000 people on it? That server's going to blow up. And he goes, oh, I don't know, because he knows that's going to happen, and I worry about your project because I think it's really great. But the scale on that is the killer. Success is the worst thing that can happen to an internet project. It's true, because if you're successful and you say people will come, I think you're right. But if you put 2,000 people on that, it'll just go just like that. It'll make that noise. So somebody like D-Raj is going to look at that project and go, you're going to need to have about $20,000 to get a server set up. He's going to start to cry a little when that happens, but he's going to know one way or the other. So anyway, that's just my pitch for D-Raj and for Teresa and their shop over there, because I think certainly you're lucky to have people who are very open-minded, who have a lot of knowledge about what they're doing, and I've learned probably more than I gave back in my conversations with those guys here since I've been here. So I heartily encourage you that you use their stuff. And the last point that I want to make is to the e-learning non-converts in the crowd who were concerned, and it's certainly that awesome presentation we had yesterday on painting the rooms and making I just don't believe in e-learning. I don't think it's a question of belief, I guess is my point. I think it's important for all of us to remember that e-learning should never be a driver. It shouldn't be something that's powering anything. The affordances, the things that I've seen people do, the ways in which... Let me tell you a story. We, about 7 or 8 years ago, we were facilitating conversations between people of different cultures. And we'd done a bunch of Skype conversations between people in different countries, and they were doing different kinds of things. And for some reason, we'd hooked up a group of high school girls from Argentina and a group of high school girls from Kuwait. And their professors had been working back and forth, and they had this fantastic cultural exchange. And it was this month-long project. And it was hugely transformative for both sets of those people. It had nothing to do with the technology being transformative. It had to do with the fact that a group of girls saw a group of people they had no idea existed. And they went through basically their daily lives. What did you do? How did you get up in the morning? What kinds of things do you eat? What kind of things do you do? And right up until the point where somebody got fired and arrested, it went really, really, really well. The only problem was the girls from Argentina posted their bathing suit pictures on the Kuwaiti website, and the government... Anyway, it got a little bit weird. She got rehired. She got out of jail. It was only like 12 hours. It was okay. But these transformative experiences, these chances to see people from a different part of the world, to collaborate with people who you don't expect. I was talking about my colleague from India. When he came to that first MOOC course, he totally blew us out of the water. Because he said, much like somebody said to me yesterday, do you only work in cold countries? Because there's a lot of other things going on in the world. And he totally came in with another perspective that we would have never asked for because we didn't know it existed, that we never invited because I guess we lacked the courage. But he came, and because of the openness, because of the availability, because of the connectivity, we managed to grow amongst all of us. And I think those are the real affordances of the technologies. It's how it can make us better as people. Thanks.